What's going on, everybody? Welcome to MMA Now with yours truly, the Cornerman _MMA, Ryan the Mighty Quinn, with the man amongst men, Fight Bananas host David Van Auken. How you doing, man?
Doing great, brother. How are you, man? I kind of like this. It's usually me doing that opening on the other side. I like this. I'm just going to be loose. I'm just going to eat chips and drink water the whole time. I'm
Yeah,
the
I know.
guest. I
Yeah,
like it.
I didn't realize that was difficult for a second. I was like, oh, he usually. I forgot your name, but no. Yeah, I was talking to Dave. Everybody who's tuning, I know that Diego's going to be tuning in a little bit. This is going to be like a Tuesday thing during lunch break. It's convenient for me. It's a dead hour for all the big time the big time media people in mixed martial arts. I used to mow my lawn on Tuesday afternoons, South Florida. You have to do it weekly. Now you don't have to do it weekly, so I'll do it like every other Sunday or something.
There you go.
But yeah, we're gonna talk MMA. So I had I have a few topics on the table. I guess we're gonna start and work our way back with the fan reaction of the Sean O'Malley win over Peter Yan last weekend at UFC 280. Now I did a video on it. The video had a lot of traffic. Why I defended Peter Yan, which I still defend Peter Yan. Right? I think he won. But the comments
Yep.
were literally back and forth, back and forth. No, Sean won. Shut up, YouTuber. No, Peter Yan, you're right. Just all, and I'm like, it really is mixed. Now, and after watching it a third time, to me, the fight gets closer and closer. Maybe now that I know what the decision is, but I still can't get away from the fact I felt Peter Yan won. You could go watch the video. I'm going to kind of go into it a little bit as the conversation goes. But David, tell us what you think about that fight.
Uh, so much there, right? I agree with you. Anything, if your wife tells you, "Oh, this is one of my favorite movies growing up," like a romantic comedy, when you watch it, like you're gonna like it a little bit more because she loves it, right? Like, so I agree with you. I like watching the fight live and then watching it one more time, and that's kind of it. Maybe if it's one of the greats, I probably watched Griffin Bonner 35 times now in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But it was a really good fight, but I watched it live. I watched it once. I'm done. Like, I'm not going to watch it again. I'm going to go with what I go with. So, first of all, betting bananas. I said it. I know you were sick morning on the show. I bet on Suga Sean O'Malley. I just thought the value was there. I just thought, to get Sean O'Malley at over plus 200, I loved it. I bet on him during the week and right before the fight. I thought he looked good all week. I thought he looked very determined. I thought he looked like he had something to do and he knew it was a task. I thought he took it really serious, which is kind of the opposite of Sean's, mortality over the last couple fight weeks. So I like Sean going into the fight. I bet on Sean O'Malley. I thought Peter Yan won the fight. I watched it twice. I watched it both times, and I thought he won round 1 and round 2, and Suga Sean won round 3. So that's how I had the fight. It was a good fight. It was a close fight, but I had Peter Yan winning the fight. But real quick, back to the fan reaction, kind of your first question at hand. I don't understand. I don't get it. And this is what we love, and it's our passion. We talk about it, and we're turning in, to careers of mixed martial arts, and especially the UFC. I just don't understand why why people get so outraged on the result. Like, I bet on Sean O'Malley, and I thought Yan won the fight, but like, I don't know these two guys. Like, they said split decision. Whatever way they went, I was going to take it, and I could not wait to watch Aljo, and I couldn't wait to watch the main event. I was moving on with life, and I spend so much time and effort on this. I just don't understand why people, especially on social media and the comments and all that, get so upset on the decision. I don't understand it, Ryan. I don't.
Well, there's a lot of things there. You reminded me of the most social media angry I have ever gotten over a fight where I wasn't personally invested in the fighter. I remember I thought Johnny Hendricks beat George St. Pierre when
Sure.
they fought.
Yep.
And I remember posting something and going back and forth with a few different people, and it was so stupid. It was so. But part of it is this. I think it's very easy to be aggressive. Like armchair keyboard warriors. It's very easy to be like that. Depending on what hour the fights are on, I'm sure people are a little, having some fun, a little liquid courage. Maybe that's part of it. I never truly really gotten to that personal level with people when I disagree with them online. But I remember speaking with Pedro Munoz after he fought Sean O'Malley, and he feels that Sean he connects so well to this generation of this new generation of fans, and they're just, this is their guy, this is
Yeah.
their champion, so maybe they're just so invested, and like it's just I mean, like you and I now, we're adults, we fight happens, you move on, we even lose some money on it, we win some money on it, whatever. Some of these kids, like, like I remember when the Yankees lost in '97, I was so upset. I hated the Indians. I couldn't, and I think that
Sandy
this
Alomar.
is kind of what that, sorry?
Sandy Alomar.
Yes. Oh, dude, I was so mad that he hit the home run off of Mariano Rivera. I'm still not happy about it. I still hate Reggie Miller more than any athlete in the world. I'll never hate anybody more. But yeah, see, so this is why, like, I don't even remember why I hate him for a second. You're just so emotionally invested into these athletes, into these teams. And I think that's part of what it is when you see like the Sean O'Malley fans, stuff like that. I don't know if you would get that reaction from every fan, every demographic.
Agreed.
I haven't seen that. Like even with like the Nate Diaz fights or the Masvidal fights, I haven't seen that kind of reaction. I think that this is just this generation's champion. Now, I looked into Sean O'Malley outside of fighting a little bit about this. I mean, in the last few days, and I'm very impressed with the kind of person he is outside of fighting. And actually, I hope that he, like I said, he's this generation's champion. I hope that they push this on his marketability because so many fighters can learn from what he's doing. I saw that he has a YouTube channel, so he's and it's so easy to be interested in this stuff at 35 than when I was 25. He owns properties, so like he's building up that business, that passive income outside of fighting.
Right.
That so many young fighters, I didn't care. I when I was fighting, I was getting paid, and then I was spending that money. I feel like a lot of fighters are still like that, and I feel like this generation, both in and out of fighting, whether you're a fan or a fighter yourself, you can learn from somebody like that. And I just really love that he's going to carry that part of the poll going forward. Now,
yeah, and with that being said, like I don't know if you saw it, Aljamain Sterling was just on Ariel's show yesterday, and he talked about this is the most money I've ever made. I finally got like $1 million in my bank account. He talked about houses. He also talked about like how his YouTube channel, like I can't push that aspect more. Like we are starting, we're doing it, and I love what we do with Bet and Bananas. I think it's one of the best shows, and I can't wait to see where it's going to develop into years, months from now. But like the guys like O'Malley and Aljo have this opportunity right now to gather so many followers and subscribers, especially let's just throw YouTube out there. Like O'Malley can put anything on YouTube and literally make legitimate money on it. And he's only going to get bigger fights. And he can kind of control his narrative of fight announcements, of, breakdowns, anything he wants to. He can even take it in different, avenues with those subscribers. If he gets over millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube, like that's it. Like that does not go away. Like that's a nucleus that he can kind of maintain for a long time.
Yeah, no, we always heard, or I was always told, but I wasn't listening, build your own brand. And that's exactly what he's doing to the fullest. Outside of the hair and the cars, he's, like we just said, that the business aspect, and he's doing that. And so many fighters should be capitalizing on that. Like you said, he controls his own destiny with fight announcements, opinions. He does it right in his own thing. Real quick, Diego, there you are, buddy. To this day, I still feel GSP lost. The post-fight pictures do not lie. Yes. I mean, I can't get into with scoring damage and everything. We're not talking about that today, but I'm with you, Diego. There you go, man. So you did say going forward with O'Malley, I think it's pretty set that I think this was a number one contender fight anyway. He's going to be fighting Aljo, not Aljo, I'm sorry. He's going to be he's going to be fighting Aljo next, correct?
That's what I thought. Like, that's what I kind of figured, especially for O'Malley. Like, because Peter Yan fought Aljo twice. If Peter won, did they really want to do a trilogy fight? And right away, the division's so damn good. Like, were they really going to stifle Sanhagen and Chito Vera and all that stuff, and Marab, like all that stuff? But with Aljo winning, and of course Sugar won, I thought it was a no-doubter. But I don't know about like everything since that fight. It's all been about Peter Yan and the controversial and the win and what's next and everything about Aljo. Like he's been calling out, like the Dana White mentioned Henry Cejudo, and then Aljo's been really barking up Chito Vera. when the champion barks at someone, especially in that top 1, 2, 3, 5, like usually that's what happens. Like the champion does hold a lot of cards. He's been barking at Marlon Vera. I don't know if it was a planned thing. I don't know if Aljo is getting in his way because, let's be honest, even Cejudo coming back, which is cool and different, unique, and we never thought we would see Sterling Cejudo in 2023. But the money fight is him versus O'Malley. Like, that's the money fight. And it's weird that Aljo's not going there. I thought Aljo would be all in on fighting Suga Sean O'Malley.
Man, I always joke that MMA rankings are this just like NCAA football playoff bracket. Like, who jumps around. I think that Chito Vera deserves the shot next. But then at the same time, though, listen, even though I felt Peter Yan won, O'Malley still won. Whatever the case is, he won. You got to go forward accordingly. Yeah. So he deserves a shot as well, with the way he's going. And I meant to add this earlier. Even though I felt he lost, I still felt this was his most impressive fight to date.
Agree. I literally just dropped 2 podcasts in a row. One yesterday, literally just dropped one 30 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Sean O'Malley, one thing I'm totally over that I've been criminal of this. Maybe I almost every person in MMA does. When we see fights, Oliveira Makhachev was another one. Everyone's like, oh, this is how this person's going to win, and they can't do the other way, and this is how the opposite. Everyone thought that Suga Sean had to win the first round, spark him early, get it going early, and Peter Yan is a slow starter, and he will build while the fight goes. That was absolutely wrong on every. Like I said that too. I'm like, Peter Yan third round will be almost unbeatable. Mm-hmm. Sugar won that third round. He looked awesome. The grit, the metal, like that's not his thing. Conor McGregor needs to spark someone early. Remember that fight against Nate Diaz, that 5th round? Like he defeated Nate Diaz in the 5th round, which no one would ever predict. So I'm kind of over that. Like, and everyone in the Makhachev Oliveira, everyone's like, guys, Oliveira's got to win early or Makhachev will submit him late. No, like Makhachev beat him first round, beat him second round, and stopped him. Like, I'm kind of over saying there's only one way. These guys are the top of the top mixed martial artists in this world. Suga Sean O'Malley could submit him, decision, lose first round, win first round. That's one thing I've learned now by doing this a little bit is I'm over kind of saying this is the only way to win. It's not like that anymore.
No, it's not. This is the ultimate game of rock, paper, scissors. That's kind of how I look at it. There's so much stuff to do.
Always go
Diego again. I would love to see Chito get the title shot. Imagine if Chito wins the belt and he gets to fight Suga for the belt. Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. That's a great story in itself.
Yeah, that's
a lot of money to be made for everybody coming up. There's no wrong way to go about the bantamweight division right now. So now again, going against what I was saying was, I remember during the press conference there was a reporter quite literally pressing Dana White on Peter Yan 1, and he was throwing the Statcast in his face. Significant strikes, volume, riding time, and all that. Now, let's talk about Statcast for a second. Now, we're in the analytics era of sports. I'm a huge fan of Moneyball, as you know, Dave. I'm a huge fan of, I love analytics myself. And let's face it, fans want to see numbers. They count the home runs, they count the interceptions.
Right. It's easy for them. It's easy.
Yes. And it's something to stay. It is easy, like you said. Now, and these stats are very fun in mixed martial arts. I'm glad they do them. It's all other mainstream sports do them, but they don't calculate to what's being scored in the judges' scorecard. So it's very misleading. And actually, I think that this has furthered fans and fighters from judges with that argument, because these stats are so misleading. Now, when you talk about punches thrown and stuff like that in riding time, it actually really doesn't mean anything. Knockdowns are like the closest thing to the stats being calculated. To sum up what I'm saying is, let's say that you throw 50 punches and you miss, but I throw one straight right hand and I hit you. I won that round. And according to the judges, and I'm not arguing with it, that's how it is. The impact and damage, I did more. And I feel like that's, and like the riding time. This was the worst argument for Peter Yan is, the riding time. This fight was scored with striking. There wasn't a whole lot of wrestling to score. All the wrestling that was able to be scored was really like maybe tiebreaker stuff, but the riding time meant very little here. And I think that I don't like the Statcast thing. I think that it's very misleading. I think that it's garbage when it comes to the scoring, and I think that the UFC should be a little bit more clear about that. But I know that at the same time they can't. Okay, here's one stat and one analytic. I remember I was at the hotel bar with Sean Shelby in Philadelphia back in 2019, and we were talking about bringing fighters into the UFC. And he cut the person off that asked him that, and he said the only stat that I care about is finish rate. Plain and simple.
Wow.
That's what you got to know. Yeah.
Ryan, I am a huge eye guy, huge eye test guy. I know you're a big time New York Jets fan. Zach Wilson. So the Jets, they're 5-2 now, right? A good record.
5-2.
Would you trade Zach Wilson right now for Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Zach has 5 wins this year. Joe Burrow has 4. Whatever stat you want to put up there. So he's won. I'm an eye guy. You can, I love watching fights, and sometimes you can have 3 strikes, and it's not even a knockdown. It's the right strike at the right time. You can tell how much damage. You can tell, too, also, this is where Bilal Muhammad was doing to Sean Brady. You can even maybe think he lost the first round. I bet that was my 2 biggest bets on the whole card was Bilal Muhammad and Gamrot. Gamrot lost. That was a bad one on me. Bilal didn't. He maybe lost the first round. But watching that fight, me watching the fight and watching how Bilal was putting pressure on him and starting to find range and starting to feel and turn the momentum of the fight, I was like, Bilal's going to win this fight. I felt so good after the first round as a Bilal backer better. So sometimes you just need to watch the fight. Those stats, if someone didn't watch O'Malley Yan and just, I saw that Instagram post went everywhere, and Sean O'Malley's coach posted it about significant strikes in each round, and like I said, it just doesn't do it. You have to, what kind of strikes, how much did it really land, how much did it change the direction of the round, who's leading the dance, who's not leading the dance. Of course, yeah, momentum and takedown. Peter Yan threw Sean O'Malley on a flight first class and slammed him. All those have to go into one. And I'm a huge damage guy, and I am, but I want to watch the fight. My gut will tell me after watching the first round, who won or not. Yes. Those strikes and analytics help, and I like that information. But I'm a gut eye guy, and just watching that fight twice, I had Jan winning the fight. That's who I had.
One thing, actually, now that we say this, every time I watch that fight, I never watched it with the sound. I wonder how my opinion would be if I watched it with listening to the commentators.
Wait, Jan and O'Malley, you didn't listen to it?
I didn't. I watched it on mute. I didn't listen to that with the sound. Actually, I kind of do that a lot, not on purpose. But I don't have anything against the announcers. Okay. I just didn't watch this one with the sound on. Playoff baseball.
I know, but that's even a part of it too. Sometimes hearing the fighters or the coaches, or even kind of hearing the crack, and sometimes at the apex you can hear a lot more of the power and the smashes that happens. That's actually kind of intriguing. I might need to try that once. I love watching this, especially as doing a little commentating work. I love listening. To me it's almost like a lesson. Those guys are so good to me. John Anik is so damn good at what he does. I love listening to him, and
I love John. I'm trying to get John on here in the worst way. I love John. I love listening to him, especially because I remember when John came in, I think his first fight was on Fuel TV. He replaced Mike Goldberg, and I was like, oh, UFC fans are so closed off, they're gonna butcher this guy. And he's carrying the team now,
Yeah, so good. So good.
But this stat conversation, I know you watch Game of Thrones, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. This is a long time ago. But this reminds me of when Robert Baratheon said, what's the greater number, 5 or 1? And Cersei goes 5, and he goes 5, 1. And the more power, it's so. Yeah. That's what these, what might help these stats if they break down the stats per round. I know that's a lot of numbers on the screen, but, like what if I had this amazing first round where I threw 100 strikes and then I completely gassed, but somehow managed to, and I only threw like 5 strikes round going forward. Then it looks like 110 strike. Like so maybe that'll help. But
And also with that too, like, and we do so many analytic, and I see so many numbers with Fight Bananas and stuff of that nature. But I'm also I know this sounds corny or dumb, and maybe this is too much in baseball, too much in numbers, right? Sometimes when I look at stats and I see a post and I see, oh wow, there's so many likes or they shared or whatever. But then sometimes I see 8 people. I see Dustin Poirier like it, or I see Kayla Harrison like it, or I see like the right people, John Anik like it, and Kenny Florian share this stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I feel like I'm connecting with the people I do want to connect to, or the people I do want the likes and the respect to. So like that Sean O'Malley knee in round 3 was the best, striking element of the fight. Like that was the best one strike, and that doesn't go in a column different than any other column. Like that's just another significant strike that changed the fight. Like you could tell, like Peter did not like it. He didn't like the blood. He kind of was like weary for the rest of the round almost. And it's just, you can't compute that. You can't put that in a computer. It's you gotta feel it and see it and touch it and taste it. And I'm just a big eye guy, big Tyson.
That's the best example of where I'm going at with that. So like, yeah, like let's say like if I hit you with the right hand and I hit you, but you don't do it, it's still a significant strike. But then you land that knee on me and I'm wobbling, or if I'm avoiding the fight, that's just the same. Like you said, like it's singles and home runs, touchdowns, first downs.
Right.
That's basically what it is. But all right, I'm sure we could talk about that fight and analytics going for days. But we got a good event coming up this weekend, UFC Vegas 63. To me, it is now for our picks, guys. We're not going to go over that today. You're going to see that Thursday on our Betting Bananas podcast. Please tune into that. Fight Bananas. Dave, tell them where they can see it. Everywhere they can see it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. All Fight Bananas socials, it'll be on our YouTube channel, just like you're probably watching this right now. We'll put it on Facebook. But still, it's one of those things. We just have a great group of podcast subscribers. It's on every podcast platform. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I always put it under the Dave Van Auken show because I have such a good subscription base there. I did flirt with the idea, Ryan, of giving it its own show and just kind of releasing it once a week. But if I do that, like we have to start all over again, with one listener, 2 listeners, 10, 50, and to have thousands of listeners right now, I think it's a huge advantage for us. So I don't know. I'm flirting with the idea. I like it so much. I love the show so much. I do want to give it its own lane, but on all Fight Bananas platforms, you can watch or listen.
Yeah, I've had that. Now that I'm going to be doing this, I've had that argument. I think I'm just going to keep the playlist.
Yeah.
Keep it. Yeah, guys, we go over the lock of the night, underdog picks, and a 3-fight parlay. So please tune in. But we'll talk about the card and like what to look forward to. I think first of all, I'm a big Calvin Kattar fan. I love everything he's doing. I think that there's a lot going on in the featherweight division. We just spent a lot of time in the bantamweight division. He's on the strong gatekeeper side, so to speak, right now. I actually wouldn't be surprised if after his last fight, if he was going to get a title fight. He's headlining tomorrow. I think ultimately though, this card in a lot of places, it's a lot of winner go home fights. Like I see, one fight that sticks out to me is Khalil Roundtree versus Dustin Jacoby. Really looking forward to seeing that one.
Love that fight. Love it.
That fight's going to be so good. And it's like, that's another one, like who's going to show up? And then what was the other one I had here? Oh yeah. Roman Dolidze versus Phil Hawes. Can't wait to see that.
Love that fight. Love it.
And these are undercard. I'm pretty sure that Jacoby's an undercard fight. Yeah. These are all undercard fights. Yeah. You got the legend Andrei Arlovski versus Marcos Rogero de Lima. And then, Chase Hooper, who's going to show up with Chase for Steve Garcia. There's so much to look at here. Oh, no, Dustin Jacoby is on the main card. Yeah. Who are you looking at? What fights are you looking forward to seeing here?
Literally, I'm not trying to those are like my 5 fights. Like, I love it. Huge. The 2 best probably we'll go to the main event in a second, but probably my favorite fight I can't miss is going to be that Jacoby Roundtree. That fight is just a stand-up dream. We're going to see massive leg kicks. We're going to see literally baseball bats hitting other people in the leg all day. Always fun to watch Chase Hooper. I'm a huge Andre Arlovsky guy. Talked to him a couple times. Just a good dude. He's still fighting. And seems like a lot of these veterans, sometimes they kind of wait for the right fight, or they, Robbie Lawler wants to be on a main card and stuff of that nature. Like Andre just goes an undercard over undercard. He just keeps on, like, every 3 months you see him on a card. It's like, Jesus. And he wins 2 out of 3. He wins more than he loses still in this. It's amazing. Phil Hawes is a good guy. I talked to him. He's been at Orlando at Fusion XL for the last couple of months. Love talking with Phil, and that's a good fight. Roman's 10-1. I think Phil Hawes is actually a tad underrated, to be honest with you. I think he's got he doesn't have holes. Like, he's great at grappling, standing up. I think he can do it all. The co-main event's nasty, like Means versus Max. You're going to see blood in that co-main event. But it's just kind of like the main event is the main event. It's so good. I feel like we get 3 or 4 of these a year, at least for me, that it's on a fight night. Earlier, remember, it was Brian Ortega versus, what was the Long Island? Ortega versus, he hurt his arm. It was such a good main event. Like, I couldn't miss it. It's better than pay-per-view main events sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the UFC card, the fight night cards just knock it out of the park. Love the UFC fight nights this year.
And I love this fight. And my question kind of for you is, do you believe the winner of this fight, Calvin versus Arnold Round, do you think the winner fights for the championship next? Do you think they need one more after this? Or do you think if one of these guys won impressive, they get that shot?
I think Calvin can. I think Allen might need to win one more.
Okay.
I just feel that, I just feel it. It depends on, I mean, obviously, like we just said, but I think that Allen might need to win one more. Diego said again, Andre being on the prelims is criminal. Yeah, man. I know everyone loves Andre. Let
me jump in with that. So, because I hit it on Fight Bananas, because people get so upset with the lineups of cards. All the time. I hear that all the time. I talked to someone in the know in the UFC. They do that on purpose. Like, imagine, sometimes in batting orders, you want the best guys to bat at the beginning of the order and not the end. But it's not like that in the UFC. Like, they want us, they want Ryan and myself, and they want you, the consumer, to watch this for 6 hours, for 5 hours. So if they put Arlovsky, Calvin, and the best fight in the card, maybe Jacoby and Roundtree, all at the very end, the last 3 fights, even myself, who we talk about this for a living, and we're doing podcasts during the day, we're going to bet on these fights. Maybe it's like, all right, darling, like let's go out. Let's have a good day with the kids. Let's have a good dinner. I'll watch these 3 fights at the end and I'll be all right. And then I'll kind of rewind and watch back. The UFC does this on purpose. They sometimes put a pretty awesome fight second or third in the prelims. So it's like, oh shit, darling, this card starts at 8. Like, I got to watch it. I can't miss it. It starts at 4 o'clock. Arlovsky goes off at 4:40. I'm not going to miss the legend. And they do that on purpose. And sometimes they even tell me that they put the co-main event, sometimes a weaker fight, because they know you're going to watch the main event and not want to miss it. And you're kind of like forced to watch the co-main event because it's right before it. So sometimes they don't give. To me, the second best fight on this card is Roundtree and Jacoby. Maybe could be the co-main event. Jacoby hasn't lost in 5-6 years. He's on a tear. Roundtree kills people. Like, this is a good freaking fight. And they don't do that because, like I said, not like Max or Tim doesn't deserve a co-main, but they want to put something there that's like, it's good, but maybe not the second best fight. And it's just kind of, there you go, a little inside baseball talk.
Well, this is kind of like what, like I said, what Bellator does so many times. They put these like circus superstar veteran fights in the main event, but then they have these up and comers that they want you to get behind on the mid-level, so because they know you're going to watch the first 3 fights, like similar. So one thing I'm going to say before we close up on talking about Arlovsky. Now, he's one of the fighters one of the first times when I was training at American Top Team, when I was like, man, this is really like something special. Like, I remember he walked in and then Tim Sylvia walked in and then they were training together. And now this was in like 2012. And I'm like, man, like, this is like the most legendary heavyweight rivalry ever. And now here they are training together and talking. And I'm like, man, this is freaking awesome. And like, just seeing that, and they're both pretty much the same person you see on TV, which take that for what you are. But it's like, they're it was just great. Actually, speaking of Tim, I already spoke to Tim. He's going to come on here in the next week or so. We're going to talk about his reaction to what Brandon Schaub said, comparing him to the Francis Ngannou fight. I'm looking forward to that one. But that's pretty much all I got this week. That's our water cooler lunchtime talk. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Dave, thanks so much for coming on, man. Anything before we close up?
No, everything is good. Fight Bananas. Go subscribe on all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Ben and Bananas will record Wednesday night. It'll be out on Thursday. You can listen to it. You can watch it. I can't wait. Elle Wagman, Ryan Quinn, and myself. I love it. It's the best thing we do on Fight Bananas.
Yeah, and I'll be wearing a very stupid banana head tomorrow because I lost a bet. So, yeah, got to check out Fight Bananas. There it is. Yeah, I'll be wearing that and betting bananas. I'll have another video posted on Thursday, guys. You can tune in here every Tuesday with myself. Dave will be on sometimes, like he said. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And tell people about us. Have a good one.
Later.
All right, perfect.